He's gone through hadith, he's gone through the science of jurisprudence, he's gone through Arabian poetry before the Prophet Muhammad came, he's gone through Arabic grammar. Only then does he come, and he's gone through all the ahadith on the topic, only then he comes with that one line: this is haram. Look at the struggle that it undertakes for that person to come for that one line. And you find some of our people who hasn't read one book in his life, he now wants to come and dictate exactly what is struggle. Some of these people endeavor for years to struggle on a particular mas'ala that Imam al-Khu'i, may Allah bless his soul, he had changed a mas'ala which he had been on for 70 years. In his 72nd year, he changed his opinion because he found one hadith related to the incident. Imagine that level, that a person continues to struggle. Here is the basis of jihad. But then someone comes and he says, okay, we see that jihad means a struggle. How about the concept of jihad in terms of holy war? We see today especially Bin Laden, and we see his group Al-Qaeda, and we see everything that they profess. If we don't see Al-Qaeda, we see Abu Mus'ab al-Zarqawi doing what he does in Iraq, and the people who follow him in terms of these suicide bombings. If I was someone from the West, I'd be the first to ask, what is going on in this religion? How could you tell me to follow a religion where a guy sits in front of a television camera and says, I'm going to bomb up a whole place simply because I want 70 virgins in Jannah? Or a person comes and says, because I will sit with breakfast with the Prophet with 12 other companions. If this is the mentality, every person has the right to ask. Because when you look at history of the last 20 years, these people in the West have the right to ask, what is the meaning of jihad? Because you see Afghanistan and you see what was built in the Taliban regime. That their thinking was purely a thinking which was based on what? Which was based on make every land a Muslim land. They of course took their theories from someone like Abu al-Hasan al-Mawardi. Al-Mawardi, anyone who's read his books, he's the Abbasid jurist. He used to write an idea that there are two worlds we live in, Dar al-Islam and Dar al-Harb. These will come to explain in a second. Let us first analyze one concept. Number one, when you come to look at the Christian religion, for example, within the Bible you will find many incidents where the children of Israel went to towns of idol worshippers and completely destroyed these towns and destroyed the people living there. No one ever comes to these verses and says the whole Christian religion is a religion of terrorists. Anyone who goes to Deuteronomy chapter 13, or you can go to the book of Joshua chapter 6, you will find inside it's written down how the so-called people of God went and resulted in a war and destroyed the lives of thousands simply because they were not following the path of God. Does anyone quote these verses? Nope, no one quotes these verses. On the contrary, when we come to this concept, we have to understand, number one, is war necessarily a bad thing? Number one, is it necessarily a bad thing or no? When I come and see that the people who are ruling me are unjust, are oppressing the people, are raping the woman, are forcing the people under oppression in their houses, are causing people to live the most disgruntled of lives, is war then wrong when I take out war against these people? Or does war become a necessity against these people? That when you see injustice, it is the wajib of every single person to rise against any unjust government. Because justice is not an Islamic concept. Justice is a universal humanity concept. Number one, war. Number two, when you look at the religion of Islam, you find that the religion of Islam didn't come to compel people to believe. The religion of Islam, actually when the Prophet Muhammad came, he said the famous verse which was revealed, La ikraha fid deen. There is no compulsion in religion. Those who say Rasulullah came with the sword, the reply is always with this verse, La ikraha fid deen. Do you know when this verse was revealed? This verse was revealed because of the people who used to live in Medina. The Aus and the Khazraj, they used to live in Medina. They used to be under Jewish rule. Because they were under Jewish rule, many of their children had become Jews. And they had followed the Jewish path. Rasulullah comes, he conquers the land of Medina. The Medina becomes the land of Islamic State. Some of these people were wondering what's happening now with our children. Because our children have completely left us. We don't know what to do with them now. So they came to Rasulullah, they said, Ya Rasulullah, is it acceptable for us to compel our children to follow Islam? Or can we allow our children to follow what they want to follow? Rasulullah said, no. You can't compel anyone to follow the religion of Islam. There is no compulsion in religion. And the verse was revealed, La ikraha fid deen. So here you find one angle. And another verse, قُلِ الْحَقُّ مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ. Say the truth is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whoever wants to believe can believe. And whoever wants to disbelieve, disbelieves. And that's why even in Surah Al-Hujurat, another verse which says, قَالَتِ الْأَعْرَابُ آمَنَّا. The Arabs used to say, آمَنَّا. The Quran replies, قُلْ لَمْ تُؤْمِنُوا. You don't believe. وَلَكِنْ قُولُوا أَسْلَمْنَا. Say we submit. وَلَمَّا يَدْخَلَ الْإِيمَانِ فِي قُلُوبِكُمْ. Only when Iman enters your heart. The idea here was that Islam was saying, you can't compel a person to become Muslim. For the fact that Islam is where it belongs in the heart. A person can't just be forced to become Muslim. He has to find Islam as something which is accepted within his heart. Number two. Number three, is every terrorist group a reflection of its teachings? Is it just because I see a terrorist group, does that mean it necessarily reflects what the teachings are of the religion? Because when you look at, for example, Ireland, you see the Protestants and you see the Catholics. The Protestants and the Catholics both have their so-called terrorist groups. Let's just say the Catholics used to have Sinn Féin. And the Protestants used to have the Ulster Unionists. These are all in the country of Ireland. One is Protestant, one is Catholic. They both say we are representing Christianity. And they are all killing each other. Did we then say that Christianity became a religion of terrorism? On the contrary, we said that there are certain people with certain differences. When the Crusades came and they raped women and they tortured Muslims, did every Muslim come and say every Christian is a terrorist? On the contrary, we said no, it doesn't necessarily mean a person's a terrorist simply because of what happened 500 years ago. The point that is being made, you can't bring these terrorist groups and try and say that this is what Islam teaches. Now the point comes, the Prophet Muhammad, if he came with this attitude that there is no compulsion in religion, and he came with the attitude that Iman is in the heart, how then did he spread Islam? If Rasulullah is keeping it for everyone in Arabia, and he hasn't spread it by the sword, how exactly did Rasulullah go about spreading the message of Islam? Brothers, I need you to understand these points. It's extremely vital so you can write a reply. Number one, we notice Rasulullah, he was in Mecca for how many years? 13 years. Rasulullah is there. He is situated there. In all these years, the oppression against Rasulullah was unbelievable. From every angle. Physical oppression, emotional oppression, in his spreading of the message. As an example, Rasulullah had to deal with the most arrogant of people like Abu Jahl. Abu Jahl was so arrogant that the way he died explained to you exactly his arrogance. Abu Jahl, when he was dying, he was in the battle. There was a companion of the Prophet called Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he was extremely short, very short. And therefore he didn't know exactly what to do in war. So what he said, what did Abdullah ibn Mas'ud say? He said, Ya Rasulullah, I'm very short, I don't know what to do in war, I can't fight anyone. What should I do? Rasulullah said to him, when we are in war, Abdullah, if you see those leaders of the enemies who are constantly attacking the Muslims, finish them off if they are on the ground. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he's looking around in the battlefield, who does he see? He sees Abu Jahl right there. He sees Abu Jahl is on the ground. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he comes, he sits right on top of the body of Abu Jahl to strike him. Do you know what Abu Jahl says to him? He says, move off my body. He says to him, why? He says, I don't want a short man to kill me. At least let one of the tall ones from Arabia come and kill me. That's why Abu Jahl is seen as being more arrogant than Fir'aun. Because when Fir'aun was dying, he was trying to at least say, Ya Allah, I believe in you. Whereas Abu Jahl, when he was dying, he was more concerned with the height of his killer. Abu Jahl, the verse in the Quran was revealed about the Prophet Muhammad. أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يَنْهَى عَبْدًا إِذَا صَلَّى. Have you seen the one who prevents our Prophet in his prayer? What happened was Abu Jahl, whenever Rasulullah would come in sujood, he would order people to go and throw rubbish on Rasulullah's head. Not even rubbish on Rasulullah's head. He used to himself try and come and kick Rasulullah on his head while Rasulullah was in sujood. Look at that oppression. Which person had to live with such people who would throw rubbish at him in sujood? Did he declare a war against them? Not once. Nothing was declared while he was in Mecca. Again, did he come there and hit them? Not even once. Again, they used to oppress the other Muslims. Ammar bin Yasir's parents, who we mentioned a couple of nights ago, Yasir and Sumayya, were the first martyrs in the religion of Islam, simply because of what reason? Simply because of the reason that they followed the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They were the first martyrs in Islam. Ya Allah, these are two parents who are being tortured. Can't you tell Muhammad to call a war? No war is called. Again, the Muslims are oppressed. Where are they oppressed? The Muslims are sent to Abyssinia because of the oppression